there, this is Carlo. Welcome to another very quick tutorial or video. This is more of a sort of hints and tips video, basically talking about exporting and rendering in Maya, and what's the best way to do it. Now, if you're new to sort of like the Maya environment, obviously, you know, the first thing you're going to do is find out how you set up your renderer, and a lot of people say, right, I just want to render it to an AVI or high definition video or HD 1080p video, so on and so on. You know, rendering to a video output is not the correct way to work within Maya, and I'll explain why in a second. So obviously I've got a little scene here. It's a very quick sort of animated scene, as you can see. Got my camera set up, and what I want to do is I want to export this project. So the first thing I'll do is obviously I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to work on my render settings. Now, going back to what I just said, a lot of people will say to themselves, right, what I want to do is I just want to export this to a video sequence, and then somewhere down here there will be a video sequence that you can download it, or sorry, export the project to. Now obviously you can do that, but when you're working with Maya, it's not the way it's meant to be done. The proper way, obviously, well, not obviously, but the proper way to export in Maya is through a JPEG or TIFF sequence or a picture sequence, because most compositing programs out there, because obviously, you know, after you've sort of, you've completed your scene, obviously the next stage is compositing, and then after that is obviously editing. But most compositing programs out there require an image sequence in order to works. You know, they just won't let you export it. You know, especially Nuke. Nuke, you can export video formats too, but you can't export every single video format to it. It just won't let you do it because it doesn't read them properly. But it's not just that, it's a lot easier to work with image sequences than it is with raw video, because say for instance, you know, I went to my settings and I exported this in an AVI format or whatever. Once you get to obviously what do you call it, compositing, you're going to have to export it again, and then after you've finished that, you're going to have to go to editing, and then after you've done your editing, it's got to be exported again. So as you're going through this pipeline, you're gradually losing quality in your production. But with a JPEG sequence, you're never going to lose the quality because it's picture quality. So that's why it's always better to export your project in a JPEG or TIFF sequence. Now, the way you would do this, so I've got my scene, you know, my timeline set up. This one's 500 frames. I'm not going to export all 500 frames because that would take forever. But obviously in the rendering I'm using Mental Ray, because I've got some liquid assets within my scene, so Mental Ray is the best thing to use for liquid. And then I've got my cam set up, and what you would do by default, this will be set to 1. You're going to set this to 4, and then obviously you're going to come down, you're going to select, I always use JPEG sequence because JPEG can be used for everything, so I'll select JPEG, and then this one will be set to there as a single frame. So single frame obviously is a picture, one single picture, but you don't want that. So come down here to where it says name underscore hash underscore dot ext, select that, slam your frame padding to 4, and then here's your start frame, which is down here, and your end frame. So it's 500 frames in this scene. So if I wanted to do the whole scene, I'll set it at 500 and then set it to 500,000. But for this case, I'm just going to do 20 frames, which I've already done to save time for this tutorial. I obviously select my camera as my main camera, and if you're not too sure what camera you're looking at, it will say down here that you're looking for your main camera. If you've got other cameras, obviously you can switch it through your viewer, and and basically render from the camera that you're looking through. So always remember, whatever camera you've got set here or here is the camera that it's going to render to, so always remember that. So then you've got your presets. So I always work in HD 1080p, but you can go all the way up to 4K squared or 4K, but like I say, I always work in HD. Then you can sort of come out of here, change your settings up here to rendering, because obviously your menus will change up here. So as I select here, the menus will change. So if I go to polygons, as you can see, the menus change up the top. Animation, the menus change up the top. But if you go to rendering, obviously all this will be based around rendering your projects. So what you're going to do is you're going to come down to render, and then you're going to click on batch render, and then it will place the project. If you go to your documents and you click on Maya, projects, default images, it will come here. Now I've put mine on my desktop. I've already rendered 20 frames of this, just to give you an example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink that, and then my composite of choice is Nuke. So once it's done, if you open up your image sequence, obviously it will be from 0 all the way to say how many frames you've got. And what it'll do is it just place the sequence in picture images until the sequence is complete. But what you can do after that, once that's done, is just bring the whole project, drag it into Nuke, you know, link it up to your viewer, and then bang, you've got your image or your sequence all set up, as you can see. So it's not just that, you can composite a lot better with image sequences, because say for instance you've got a whole video, you know, I can just take one of these pictures and just place it into a sequence, and then just work on the single picture. See if I see a fault or I see a blemish I want to get rid of, or I want to do some color correction, I can just use the single picture for that. I don't have to limit myself to actually scrubbing through to find the point that I want to fix, because obviously it's all in sequence. So that's the reason why it's best to export in Maya or in 3ds Max or in any 3D program in a JPEG sequence. Now obviously Nuke will read, as you can see, video, you know, it will read a video format, but like I say, once you've completed what you're doing, or you composited what you're doing within Nuke, then you've got to export it into, so it's fit enough for, so it's completed, go into your editor, so editing, and then export again. So gradually you're losing quality every time you export a project. So that's my little tip for you guys. Always export your project in a JPEG or a TIFF sequence. It's not just that. Have you ever heard that saying, you know, picture quality? You know, picture is the most what's the word I'm looking for, crispest form of view, if that makes sense. So obviously, you know, if you've got a picture sequence, it's always going to look a lot better than actually exporting it into an AVI. So I hope this has helped you out, guys. Like I say, it's just a little quick tip. You know, come up to your editor, you know, put it into a JPEG sequence. Remember to change your frame padding to 4. Remember to do your start time, end time, your main camera, and obviously your picture quality. But this will work in any renderer you want, basically. So yeah, I hope this has helped, guys. All these bits here is all your passing, your lighting, you know, your quality. That is all based on taste, you know, your lighting and stuff like that. There are lots of tutorials online based around these sort of sections, but obviously this is just to show you guys the best way to export and render, or the way you're meant to do it. It's actually the way you're meant to do it within Maya. And Maya is obviously the same as 3ds Max, so you would do the exact same or use the exact same technique in 3ds Max as well. So I hope this has helped, guys. Thanks for listening. Give this a thumbs up and a like, and I'll see you guys in the next video.